When I was a kid, my mom used to buy me so many DVDs from the Walmart bargain bin, just so I would stop annoying her and have something to watch. I had my fair share of video cassette tapes as well, mostly Disney movies that my grandma would give me, but those were slowly going extinct. And one of these movies that I had on DVD was Spy Kids 3D. And well, I fell absolutely in love with this movie, rightfully so, because it is a cinematic masterpiece, along with Shark Boy and Lava Girl. But that is a story for another time. On the subject of DVDs, I remember this one time that some robbers broke into our car and stole basically nothing. And you know what? That sounds unrelated to the subject of DVDs, but the one thing they decided to steal was my DVD of Scooby-Doo and the Legend of the Vampire that I literally bought hours before it got stolen. Can you believe that some guys actually broke a car window just to steal a single Scooby-Doo DVD? What did I do to them? Anyways, yeah, I made this video because I want to talk about Spy Kids. Mostly the third movie, because that's actually the only one I really care about. So what is Spy Kids? Well, it's basically what happens when you take a relatively low budget and pretty good use of said budget, some guys just making a movie for fun, and you try to make James Bond for kids. That is as best as I can describe this movie. And yes, I know I just described Agent Cody Banks, but that would be minus the fun part. That being said, these movies are made by Robert Rodriguez, the brain behind such classics like the aforementioned Shark Boy and Lava Girl, the Spy Kids Trilogy, except the fourth one, and Alita Battle Angel. Yes, Alita Battle Angel. This man must just make friends with random people in Hollywood, because I swear he just convinces random actors to work with him, and this Game Rant article says he is friends with Quentin Tarantino. I guess art recognizes art, huh? The Spy Kids movies came to fruition when Robert Rodriguez decided that he wanted to make a movie that empowered children, one that was inspired by his uncle's work in the FBI. I also just really quick want to give props to him for fighting the executives on the board to keep the main family in Spy Kids, the Cortezes, a Latin family. Your work to represent my people is greatly appreciated, sir. So, with that little introduction out of the way, what did Mr. Rodriguez and all the people behind Spy Kids give us? It's crazy to think that Spy Kids released all the way back in 2001. I wasn't even old enough to understand what they were saying in this movie, but guess this movie stood the test of time because just 2 years ago, my younger siblings were watching this movie nonstop. I got to experience this film myself when I was around 5 or 6, after my mom picked it up from the bargain bin as I previously mentioned. That or it aired on TV someday. I can't fully remember, okay? Honestly, I think overall this is the best of the Spy Kids movies, but my nostalgia goggles will argue against that, despite all the clear signs telling me that all the other movies just got progressively worse from here. As an introduction to the universe, I think this is a pretty great film, and honestly, I think it could have just been a standalone film at that. I think it would have been perfect that way, but hey, we got to have sequels, don't we? We are introduced to our two main characters, Junie and Carmen Cortez, sons of spies Ingrid and Gregorio. Except, well, they don't know their parents are spies. And clearly the title is misleading because they aren't Spy Kids yet. Ingrid and Gregorio are called to step out of retirement for an important mission, which leads them to their capture, and this is then followed by Junie and Carmen actually learning that their parents are spies, and what follows is Junie and Carmen following in the steps of their parents to become Spy Kids. Pretty good premise if I say so myself, and the movie's also pretty good, honestly. Sure, it's clear to tell that this movie didn't have the highest budget, but I think what was done with what was available is pretty creatively impressive.
No landing gear! We're gonna crash!
The spy gadgets are cool, the action is pretty alright, and the actors are all pretty decently likable. I know child actors aren't great, but these are definitely not the worst. I mean, if you want truly bad child acting, just look at Skateboard Kid from Black Adam last year. How did that get through? It is a pretty straightforward film. Parents get captured, kids step up to save the parents, they eventually thwart the evildoer's plans, evil guy becomes good, everyone happy. Hey, even the evil robot clones get a happy ending in this one. Look at them in their little show. I will admit, this one might have been my least favorite one as a kid, just for the fact that the handhead guy was the absolute most terrifying thing I had seen then. Not to mention the giant thumbs. I was a sensitive kid, okay? Anyways, this evil TV star guy with the name Floop is kidnapping agents from the OSS and creating an evil army of kids. But guess what? He's actually not evil, and he was working for the true bad guy the entire time. Actually, a pretty decent twist. I'm sure they won't just keep doing twists like these in each movie and keep it fresh, huh? Right? Like I said, this is truly a feel-good movie, considering how both villains in here get to have a redemption story by the end. All in all, good film. Don't want to talk about it much more, but I'd watch it again. Quite a few times, actually. The movie that I actually remember the least. Also the one that I watched the least, despite me saying I liked the previous one less. Genuinely, the only parts I remember about this movie before I rewatched it were Steve Buscemi, shitty CGI skeletons, Steve Buscemi on a flying pig, and the fact that it took place on an island. As if that wasn't obvious from the title. And after watching it, I'm already forgetting what happened in this movie because I already just want to talk about Spy Kids 3. Soon, my precious. Soon. Okay, fine, let's talk about this. Spy Kids Island of Lost Dreams was released only 1 year after the first Spy Kids film, and I can already tell you, it's easy to see. I don't want to rag on the visuals of these films too much, but I'm going to anyways. And I can tell they want to go for even bigger on this film, a more fantastical set, filled with fun-looking creatures, action-packed set pieces. But sadly, despite their vision of the film being bigger, the budget did not follow suit. Yep, this movie only has a budget of $3 million more than the last one. And you can really tell that there are certain points in this movie where that budget, well, took effect on how the movie looks, such as my favorite part of the film, for all the wrong reasons, the skeleton fight. But we will get to that in a bit. We once again follow Junie and Carmen, now a part of the child program at OSS. Turns out the OSS has a completely illegal weapon. I mean, the super cool realistic device that will basically EMP the entire world.
They safely retrieved the Transmuker device.
Why an organization of spies decided to make this? I don't know. Bad guys storm the facility and Junie tries his best to protect the device, but thanks to this dipshit named Gary, the device falls into the hands of the bad guys. And guess who takes the blame? Junie, of course, and he just gets fired. And to think he had just been hired at the end of the last movie. But that isn't the end of things for our Spy Kids friends. Carmen and Junie decide to restore his honor by hijacking a mission that was meant for their rivals, Gary and Gertie Giggles. This leads them to the Island of Dreams, and at the same time Gary and Gertie are sent to Egypt, or something. I don't know, I guess this is supposed to be the haha funny moment, because they fall into a literal pit of shit. This is truly an early 2000s kid movie moment. Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest here. I only care about this movie for one reason, and one reason only, and that is the terrible CGI skeletons. I love these little guys. Just look at them go. These dudes look like the Dark Souls 3 skeletons. Hell, I bet I could just throw in one from that game, and it probably wouldn't even look at a place. Okay, I'm being a little too mean. I mean, look at this one. It does a cool little knife trick. Also, we learned that Junie would rather let him and his sister die than give up the drip he found along the way.
Wait a minute! You took something, didn't you? No? You told me not to? Why would I?
What else is there to say about Spy Kids 2? There is a literal spider monkey dude. That's cool. Oh, and just like the last movie, the good guy was a villain all along? Look at this man holding this poor family at gunpoint. Transmuker point. Why did they name this device that? But it turns out, just like the last movie, one of the quote-unquote bad guys goes good and sabotages the evil dude's plans. And then Mike Judge goes to jail. But don't worry, this is a Spy Kids movie, so he'll have his chance to reform himself, just like every evil character in this franchise does. Well, except these two from the first film. They generally were never seen again. I'm going to assume they died. All in all, this movie is my least favorite of the three. I don't even find it bad, I just don't find it as memorable as the others. Genuinely, like, the only thing I remember is the skeletons. But none of that really matters because up next is none other than movies touch our hearts and awaken our vision and change the way we see things. They take us to other places. They open doors and minds. Movies are memories of our lifetime. We need to keep them alive. And this is why Spy Kids 3D is my favorite movie. Martin Scorsese. Don't look that up, just trust me that he said that. And for a good reason too. This movie is a cinematic masterpiece. Probably for all the wrong reasons, but a masterpiece nonetheless. So remember how I said Spy Kids 2 barely had an even bigger budget? Well, with a movie that is going to rely much more heavily on special effects and CGI, you would expect the budget to be at least a little bit bigger. You know, a few more mil is the same as Spy Kids 2. And it clearly shows, and I absolutely love it. Look at these stupid ass frogs. This looks terrible, and it made my day. Remember when movies were obsessed with being 3D? It was like the coolest thing ever, and Spy Kids 3D, as the name implies, is no different. In fact, this is one of those stupid movies which they just have like a little pop-up at the bottom or like a scene that has to remind you that you should put on your 3D glasses. I also love how the DVD case came with 3D glasses. So, what's the story like in Spy Kids 3D? Well, Junie has now gone private investigator. He quit the OSS and is now conducting his own operations. Kind of like a mercenary, except he gets hired by people like Vida Selena Gomez. It turns out that Carmen has gone missing. Oh fuck. So Junie must work once again with the OSS to find his lost sister that is now trapped inside a stupid video game. Yeah, the one from the beginning of this movie. Turns out that this thing is like evil and wants to corrupt the minds of children. Just like all video games in the early 2000s, according to disgruntled parents at least. And this video game was created by none other than the toy maker. You know, if there is one place I did not expect to see Rambo, it was Spy Kids 3D. Oh, and guess what? The bad guy is also an ex-OSS agent. It's like they have the absolute worst hiring department in this agency. How often can an agent go rogue here? Do they just have poor working conditions? Are the OSS agents not allowed to unionize? Anyways, Junie must now go into the world of the video game to save his sister. Of course, he puts on the epic 3D glasses, which means we should too. And he is being held by the bad guy from the last movie, who is already being allowed to work at the OSS again. This man literally got sent to jail for attempted murder, but nah, it's okay, dude. Just let him work. He said sorry or something. Spy Kids 3D is basically just Junie going through various video game levels, both to find his sister and to stop the toy maker. And supposedly, Carmen is in level 4. Highlights in this movie include Junie having the opportunity to call in anybody from his family, you know, to get some help inside the game world. And what does he decide to do? He decides to select the guy with physically disabled as an attribute. Junie, you asshole. Look at him. He doesn't even know why he's here. Nah, it's okay. Grandpa just finds a pill of mega legs and becomes a CGI green screen man.
And me the perk, Junie!
There's also this epic mech battle between Junie and his now rival and crush Dimitra. A mysterious girl that will totally not betray them later in the movie because, you know, they haven't totally done that in the past 2 movies. I know I am ragging a bit on this film, sarcastically at least, but I genuinely loved this film as a kid. It's fun, it's wacky, it has video game stuff, and it has a better race scene than Ready Player One. Spy Kids 3D ran so Ready Player One could walk. I don't think that's how the saying goes, but in this case, it holds true.
It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity.
Shit, I hallucinated all that, didn't I?
Oh, and Grandpa just casually murders this kid here, or something. I don't know. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the side characters that help Junie along the journey, because none of them matter. And Dimitra sacrifices herself in a duel against the kid with the worst looking goggles in the history of goggles, I guess. All because Junie is a loser and can't win against him. Upon the death of his video game waifu, Junie utters what can only be considered to be the most emotional and iconic line in cinema history.
We never even got an email address.
Pure art. Well, anyways, they find Carmen, they do stupid ass lava surfing, and finally they reach the exit of the game, where they encounter Elijah Wood. Well, that is a pretty damn big name actor. I wonder how they got him into this movie. Hell, I wonder what his role is going to be now that he's here. After all, he is the guy. Cake. Oh. Guess his lunch break must have been running out from the set of The Lord of the Rings then. Oh, and Dimitri's also back now. But guess what? She isn't even real. Turns out she's a creation by the toy maker, which is totally unpredictable, and I'm sure they haven't done anything similar in the last few movies. Jeez, why is there so much betrayal and deceit in these movies? Are you okay, Robert? Did someone break your trust in your childhood? In all honesty, as a kid, I probably didn't see this coming. Hell, I would not be surprised if I found this scene intensely emotional. Rest in peace, computer girl. You will be missed. They escaped and all is well, right? Well, it turns out Grandpa is unhinged and decides to free the toy maker from the game, just so he could get a 1v1 or something. Now, what follows is truly one of the most memorable scenes from my entire childhood. Go ahead and grab your damn 3D glasses, because we're gonna need them here. I genuinely had no idea that Spy Kids fan service was a thing that anyone ever would have wanted, but after seeing this, consider me a wanter. Everyone is here. Every single family member, every rival, every colleague, Machete, Steve Buscemi, the Dinkster.
Somebody ring the Dinkster!
Walmart Kid?
Well, Lord, I thought I would.
As a kid, this was my endgame, and Marvel has absolutely nothing on this masterpiece. And how do you think the conflict gets resolved? Take a guess just using the last few movies. Yeah, they make up in the end and the villain reforms. I love this stupid movie so much, and I love this franchise. I really do hold all these movies in high regard, at least when it comes to entertainment for kids. Except that one. I will not talk about that one. And I really do think these three movies hold up a bit. Sure, the effects are dated and all that, and sure, there's a ton of dumb, silly moments, but I think they're just genuinely creative and good fun. I can sit here and make fun of these movies all day, but in the end, they entertained me as a kid. I'm sure they entertain kids now, and the people making these movies, I feel like they were having fun, and in the end, that's really what counts, huh? So yeah, did you watch Spy Kids movies before? Have you maybe watched any other movies like this? You know, sort of like Shark Boy and Lava Girl? You can go ahead and let me know down in the comments. I make sure to read them all, actually. Oh, and also I've heard that hitting that subscribe button makes you an honorary member of the OSS. Please don't look that up, just trust me and do it. And thank you guys for all the support on the last video. It truly means the world to me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one as well. And if you did, make sure to hit the like button on your way out and have a wonderful year, day, month, peace.